What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday morning. Woodward Bets back in the house. Beer and Scott here to break down all the top 25 action in college football. Scott, how are we doing, my man?
Good. Happy Saturday to everybody. We're going to have some exciting games we're going to go over here. I'm pretty excited for today. I think, we're getting to the time of year, Chris, where it's all starting to break out and kind of settle it in its path here. And I think we got some excitement up here in the Midwest with a couple Big Ten teams here, especially these last few weeks. So we're getting it started today with the Green going down there to Columbus. So I'm pretty excited to see how that shakes out today.
You're looking pretty chipper this morning. You were planning on some beers last night. So it looks like you're up early. You're ready to go. You got your gear on. You got Go Blue on the sign. You got Go Green over there as well. We kind of commented on that the other day.
Well, I said Green beat OSU now. I mean, hey, I will say Go Green today, but that's it. On Sunday, all bets are off. You guys are back on my shit list. But OSU, hey, I think it'd be nice if we can both go down there or both of us get a victory. And, hey, we got the Lions going down to Cleveland too, so maybe we can get a double victory in Ohio this weekend, Chris.
Easy now. You're asking for a lot, but I did promise a hot take with one of the local teams. If you didn't catch me on the bottom line on Thursday, I already gave it out over there. But if not, we will unleash that here on you, along with our thoughts on all of the top 25s. Now, a little preface here: there are some bad games on this slate. Teams that should not even be on this list. So there's some cupcakes for a few that we're going to kind of just cruise right through. There's a few that don't even have lines, so we try to cover any team in the top 25, but some of these small schools, there are no betting lines for, so we'll just kind of cruise right through those. Now, before we get into the games, a couple things. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Woodward Bets, and make sure you follow the network at Woodward Sports as well. Tons of great shows going on over there day after day, so don't want you to miss out. A lot of great content on YouTube as well. So make sure you're following both the network at Woodward Sports and following us as well at Woodward Bets. And tomorrow we'll be back 9 a.m. tomorrow morning covering NFL top to bottom. So make sure you guys are tuning into that, not only covering the NFL, answering your questions. So we'll be on that YouTube channel looking at all the questions coming in, whether it's sit start, your favorite bets, whatever you guys want to talk about. Even if you want to come on and shoot the shit with us, we'll be there for you guys Sunday morning. So that's over on our YouTube page, again, at Woodward Bets. So make sure you guys are joining us for that. So, Scott, let's dive into some of these games here. A lot of college football to get through, including some big games for the local teams. So we're going to start Prairie View, Texas A&M. Don't need to talk much about that one. I don't see any betting lines. Same with Tennessee State traveling to take on Mississippi State. So let's jump in with Iowa State against number 13 Oklahoma. We saw Oklahoma take that L against Baylor, and Baylor looked impressive in that game, but Oklahoma not so much. So do they get back on track here? We got a 5-point spread. Iowa State been a very solid team this season, 59.5 here on the total. So does the spiraling down the toilet continue? I got to keep pushing the plumbing jokes with you, Scott, or does Oklahoma bounce back here against Iowa State this week?
Yeah, this is actually a rematch of the Big 12 championship game from last year. But, I think here in this one here, I mean, you look at the spread, it opened up at 5. It's been bet down to 3.5. 64% of the money is coming in on Oklahoma. And, Chris, I'm going to have to agree with the public here. I think I'm going to take Oklahoma at home minus the 3.5. I think they get it done today against Iowa State.
I agree. Iowa State just 4-6 against the number so far this season. So both these teams can score some points as well. But both their defenses been not bad, only allowing 20, 24 points per game. But I think Oklahoma gets it done here as well. They know they can't afford another loss if they have any shot at getting back in the mix here. So I think you see a focused team here. We'll see who the quarterback is. I know they have a little bit of drama there, but I think Oklahoma bounces back here as well. So I don't mind laying the 3.5. Next one, we got Wake Forest and Clemson. Wake Forest, number 10 in the country here. A little bit of a slip. We saw that game score about 1,000 points against North Carolina. So do we get a similar game here, high-scoring game? Do we see Wake Forest put it all together and get back on the map here?
Well, this one's definitely interesting for sure. I mean, obviously we've seen Clemson just dominate the ACC for a long time. Wake Forest has not won in Clemson since 1998, and if they actually win this game today, Chris, they're going to clinch the division titles. It is a huge game for Wake Forest. This is the one they've obviously had to be looking at, and you're right. They have scored all kinds of points here over Florida State, Louisville, and Connecticut recently. So I think, just looking at this game, you would say, oh, Wake Forest 9-1 against a Clemson team that's struggling. But Clemson's supposed to get back their freshman running back that's really good. I believe his name is Shipley. He's supposed to come back. He's really, from what I understand, what I've been reading, he was, highly regarded coming in. So adding him to the mix may throw a little bit of wrench in their plans here. But for me to get Wake Forest as a favorite or underdog plus 4.5, Chris, I think I'm going to have to take it. I think I'm going to take Wake Forest. I think this is a really big game for them. They know they got Clemson up against the wall. So I'm going to take the points here in Wake Forest.
This one just feels kind of like a trap. You got a top 10 team here that they're an underdog. I don't know that I want to step into this trap here. You would think Wake Forest should handle business here, but always tough to go on the road and get things done. So I'm not as optimistic about you. I'm going to stay away from this game here. I do think Wake Forest bounces back, but it would not surprise me to see them continue to stumble here on the road here in Clemson. So a stay away here for me. Next game is Charleston Southern and Georgia. I mean, let's just – how bad is this going to be? I mean, 60-something, 70? I mean, how ugly is this going to get here? And how does Georgia get a cupcake like Charleston Southern this deep into the season, SEC team? You should be ashamed of yourself for having this game on your schedule right now.
Yeah, they should be ashamed. That's just as Charles Barkley would say, that's just terrible.
Terrible. Absolutely. So let's get to the primetime matchup here, Scott. Michigan State, number 7 in the country, traveling down to Columbus to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes, ranked 4th in the country. This spread has ballooned all the way up to Ohio State minus 20, 67 on the total. So I'm going to turn this one over to you. You've been talking about Michigan State all week. You're rooting them on. Are you putting your money behind that talk? Are you going with Sparty here, or are you laying the 20 with Ohio State?
Man, this is another one you said it's a head scratcher. How in the hell are the Spartans given 20 points to the Buckeyes? I do not quite understand that at all. I mean, it just seems like, are we the only ones that understand what's happening around? I think the Michigan State Spartans can hang with it. There doesn't seem to me that just seems to be way too high, in my opinion. In my mind, I thought actually before the spread came out, I was thinking, Chris, it should be maybe around 10, maybe. I thought maybe 9. And then when I saw it to be double that, I thought, man, am I going to get sucked in on betting on a team here that I don't normally like to root for? But I'm going to do it, Chris. I think the Sparties are in a good spot here. The favorite, even though the favorite is 4-0 their last 4 meetings, the Sparties have not covered the last 4 games against the Buckeyes either. But I'm not really concerned about that. The road team is 9-4 against the spread their last 13 meetings, so I seem to like that trend, obviously a little bit better. But, man, the Spartans have just been playing well. I think they have all the different pieces of the puzzle here to put together a decent showing here with Walker. I'm a little concerned about that pass defense with Stroud and Olave there with the Buckeyes, but I think they can get it done. I think they can keep it close, and I think that 19 seems to be just way too high for me. And I also have a little lean toward the over in this game as well.
Yeah, I go through as well and kind of try to each week in college football, NFL, just in my own little world, what is the spread going to be? And I see how far it is off of that. Now, it's not an exact science, clearly. This is just some random dude at his house trying to figure this stuff out. But I was right around 12, 13 in this game. I thought 14 would be the max we would see. Ohio State's been impressive, no doubt. They will score points in this game. No doubt. Michigan State's defense still has a lot of holes in that secondary, but they do have an incredible pass rush here that I think could cause some havoc. So I am back in the Sparties here, Scott, with the points. I think this is a little disrespectful to how good this team has been. As good as Ohio State's been, I don't see them being 3 touchdowns better than Michigan State. And I'm going to go one better. Michigan State is going to win this game outright. So you talk about taking the points. I like that. But I love sprinkling some on the money line, Scott, at FanDuel plus 760 I found yesterday. So you're giving me 7.6 times my money. So what we're saying, every $10 you bet, you're getting $76 back in return if Michigan State wins this game. So $100 better, you're winning $760. $1,000 better, you're talking $7,600. This is my bold call of the week, Scott. Maybe I end up with egg on my face, but I like backing them with the spread, no doubt. But I am taking Michigan State on the money line at plus 760 all day long here in the spot. Crazy. What do you think of that? That my hot take here, Sparty goes down to Columbus and wins this game.
I don't think you're crazy at all. I mean, I think the Spartans definitely have a chance if they can get a couple turnovers here and get some short fields. I mean, we've seen Mel Tucker be creative. We've seen him be risky. I mean, it's not a guy that, like last week, Chris, I was saying that Michigan and Penn State game, I mean, it was like those two coaches were trying to just not outcoach each other. It was like one made a dummy move, the other one made a bigger dummy move. And I mean, I have a little bit more confidence in Mel Tucker. He seems to be, a guy that is willing to take some chances. He'll go for it, well calculated. So I really think that the Spartans do have a chance here today. I don't blame you. I think that plus 760 is a great idea to throw in a parlay today. But we're going to have to maybe look for another dog or two. Maybe we can have us a really nice dog parlay today that we could throw together, maybe get 2 or 3, and maybe we could really win some lunch money. Because, man, when you got a set plus 760 sitting on the table that you really like, I think it's always nice to throw in a couple little money line parlays.
Yeah, and you're giving, plus 760 for the number 7 team in the country. It's not like we're going with Charleston Southern to beat Georgia here. I mean, we're talking about a very good football team, and sure, Ohio State on paper is the better team, but we saw Oregon go in early in the year into the horseshoe and beat this team. They're not invincible. Any team can be beaten on any day. So again, I'm getting 7.5 to 1 on my money on a top 7 team in the country, a coach that looks like he's going to lock in a long-term contract. Kids feeling great, feeling with confidence. They know they need to win this game. They're still in a battle for the Big Ten championship and bigger aspirations. A lot of it adds up. And maybe Ohio State blows them out and throws this all in the garbage for us. But again, if I can get 7.5 to 1 on my money on a top 7 team in the country, those are the kind of opportunities I'm always looking for. And if anything, get them on the spread. Hopefully they stay close. Maybe they win it. You do the old double dip here, but I love the plus 760 you're getting there on these Sparties. So next game, we'll stay in the Big Ten, Scott. We got Rutgers and Penn State here. Penn State, number 23 in the country. Looks like we got 17.5 at most places on this number here. So Penn State, we saw lose that game to Michigan. They were competitive right till the end. Michigan pulls away and gets that late touchdown to seal the deal here. Rutgers been an up and down season, 5-5 this season. They've been okay. Can they compete here in Happy Valley?
Yeah, I don't think Greg Schiano and the crew are going to be able to do much here against Penn State. I think Penn State's a little upset, obviously, after their loss here to Michigan. I think they're here at this point. They're thinking about getting them win totals up for a better bowl bid. Maybe they can get a January bowl bid or a January 1st bowl bid. But I mean, you just look at these games here. There is something here that I am interested in, and that's the under. Chris, the under in this game has hit the last 7 times in a row in this game. So the under is something that I'm interested here in this game. But other than a picking a side, I'm not interested. But I do like the under 46.5 in this spot.
Yeah, I agree. Both of these offenses are not explosive. I mean, combined, they're averaging 49 points per game, and the defenses, obviously the number is much lower than that. So I think there's going to be a lot of people on Rutgers here as far as the public goes. So it kind of makes me lean Penn State, but I'm with you. I really like the under 47 in this game. Next game, we got to Texas State and Coastal Carolina. Scott, any quick thoughts on this one? Coastal Carolina minus 21.5 here.
Actually, Chris, for beginning of the season, I had bet on them a couple times, and they did me fairly well. But last week was a week here where they didn't fare so well for me here, and they ended up costing me. I think I had some pretty nice parlays lined up, and they were the only loser for me. But I'm just going to let this one slide. I really didn't know too much about them other than the fact that they had won for me a few times in a row. They haven't covered their spread the last 2 out of 3, so I'm just going to stay away here. And no thank you. I'll just let this one go.
Yeah, same. Coastal Carolina 5-4 against the number this year, so they've been good, no doubt. It's a great story. They're in the top 25, but I just don't know enough about these two teams to even dive in here. Texas State, I know 3-7, but are 5-5 as well against the number. So I'm going to leave this one alone. We'll go back to the Big Ten here. Illinois and number 17 Iowa next up for us here. Very low total here in this game. So this one pretty interesting. Scott, thoughts here on this Big Ten battle?
Yeah, I think, this is a big game for Iowa. It's obviously come down to Iowa and Wisconsin for the west side of the Big Ten, but I believe the Illinois coach is going to be missing due to COVID. So with that being said, I'm going to roll with the Badger or with Iowa here in this one. I think Iowa is going to roll them up.
I like the over here. This number's just too low. I mean, that's 37.5. I'm seeing
37.
Yeah, 37.5 at some books here. So I know these are under teams for the most part. These offenses are terrible. Iowa has a very elite defense, limiting opponents to under 17 points per game, but 37.5. I mean, come on. I don't think it's going to make my best bet.
Game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see this making my best bet segment at the end of the show. Maybe it does, but I think there'll be a little bit more points than 37.5 here. So going to be an ugly game, no doubt, but I think we get more points than that. Next up, we got Georgia Tech and number 8 Notre Dame. Notre Dame 15.5-point favorites. Total closing in on 60 here, Scott. So any chance here for Georgia Tech? Maybe they're that underdog that we could throw in with Sparty here. Do you see Notre Dame just rolling in this one?
Yeah, I see Notre Dame rolling. Georgia Tech's lost its last 4 in a row, but I mean, man, Notre Dame, ever since they lost to Cincinnati, they've been playing really well. They beat their last 5 opponents 169-88, pretty much doubling them up. But Chris, I think Notre Dame, they got something to prove. I think they're in a spot here. They're going to try to roll it up a little bit. They need some good-looking victories here. I mean, they're kind of on the outside looking in here. They need a few losses to scoot up. They know some of them teams are playing each other. So I think Notre Dame's going to try to score as many points as they can against this Georgia Tech team.
Yeah, I like Notre Dame here in the spot as well. I just don't think the spread is high enough. I could see them really rolling here. Georgia Tech just 3-7 this year. Not much better against the number, just 4-6. Notre Dame is covered in 7 of their 10 games. So not only playing well, but covering the number as well. So, no, it's a big number, but I'm with you. I think they roll here in this spot. So, all right, let's get to your team here, Scott. Next up, we've waited long enough. I know you've been waiting to talk some Michigan Wolverines, number 6 in the country, traveling to take on the Maryland Terrapins. U of M looks like 14.5-point favorites here, 55.5 on the total. So, turn it over to you, buddy. This is a spot they should win. Can they cover this number against Maryland?
Yeah, they should win. They should win handily here. Michigan, obviously, we've seen that pass defense and that pass rush is just phenomenal. Hutchinson should be at the top of that NFL draft here coming up. But I will say Maryland does like to throw a lot, Chris, so I think they're going to have some trouble here. So for me, yes, I think Michigan's going to roll. They're going to cover the spread. And they're another team that wants to keep on rolling. All these teams that are at the top of these standings here, they know what's at stake. And the ones that are kind of on the outside looking in, they know they need to roll them up. They don't have a few opportunities here to play some teams that they should be able to roll over. So I really like Michigan here in this spot. The favorite's 5-0 in their last 5 meetings. And hey, Chris, the Sparties Michigan is 8-2 against the spread this year. And as a Michigan fan, I can tell you, that has not been the case the last few years. So just to even see them, also good teams win, great teams cover. So I'm going to keep rolling with my Michigan boys today.
Yeah, I don't hate that. On the other side, you got Maryland really struggling against the spread, just 3-7 so far this season. So Michigan's been good winning games. They've also been good at covering games. That being said, I think Maryland can hang here. I don't want to back them, though, here in this spot. Maryland's one of those teams that, the quarterback is Tua's younger brother. He's got some promise, but this is a team that really can be Jekyll and Hyde here. and Michigan pretty solid on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to go with the under play here, Scott. Michigan, a team that can really get going on the ground, really slow the game down. I think they're going to be able to do this. And against this defense, I just don't see Maryland putting a ton of points on the board in this one. So the number seems a little bit too high here. I don't think we get a shootout. I think we get more of an uglier Big Ten game, something like a Michigan 27, Maryland 14, something in that range where the spread is a little too tight for me. But I do think they stay under this number. So I will roll with under 55.5. All right, let's stay in the Big Ten. My team up next here, we got Nebraska and my Badgers, Wisconsin -10. A Big Ten total here as well at just 42.5. So I'll give you my thoughts here momentarily, Scott, but want to see where you're at here with my Badgers against Nebraska.
Yeah, the Badgers got to keep winning to stay atop that Big Ten West so they can get in that Big Ten title game. They, ever since they lost to Michigan, just kind of looking here, they lost 38-17 on October the 2nd. They've been smashing their opponents. They've outscored them 188-66, and that freshman running back you guys have over there, I mean, he's kind of turned into a star, almost averaging 130 yards a game and 8 touchdowns his last 6 games since then. So I don't think that bodes very well for Nebraska, who's lost 4 straight. Chris, I'm going to roll with your Badgers today and give the points.
I want to back my team here. I really do, but I'm concerned with some of the movements in the line here. I mean, this thing opened up. Wisconsin -11.5. It's down to 8.5 at some spots. And again, when things don't look right, we're talking about a 3-7 team that's garnering a lot of attention here with this number down that far. I almost want to go Nebraska in the points. I'm seeing it as high as +10 out there, but I can't bet against my own teams. There's others. That's the beauty of college football is you don't want to bet against your team. I mean, I always say bet with your head, not your heart. If I like the other team, if I really like Nebraska, I'm fine putting money on it, and so be it. Hopefully Wisconsin wins, Nebraska stays close, something like that. But I just don't trust Nebraska enough to actually bet on them here in this spot. I do think Wisconsin wins, but I'm going to stay away from even the total here. It makes you want to go over a little bit, but is Nebraska's offense good enough to push that total over? That's my question. So too many questions for me in this game. I'm going to sit back, root on my Badgers, and bet on some other games here. So let's move on to our next one. We got 2 top 25 teams here matching up with 24 SMU and number 5 Cincinnati. So this one should be fun, Scott. Cincinnati, been a hot button topic here this season. Do they belong in the college football playoffs? Some will say yes, some will say no. This is a chance to kind of prove their worth here. 12-point favorites, big 65 on the total here.
Yeah, Luke Fickell, he's getting all sorts of mentions for different jobs all over the country. Seems to be a hot name and hot commodity. But I mean, the Bearcats are still looking on the outside, looking in. But I think that with Oklahoma losing, that's gonna kind of put a little bit of a jump step into their pep a little bit this week. So I think that they're actually going to roll SMU today. I think Cincinnati is a much better team. I think they saw a little opening, Chris, and I think they're going to take it. It's actually been bet down too from 12 to 10. So a lot of the money is coming on SMU. So I'm going to go against the public here, and I'm going to take Cincinnati at home, winning by a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm with you at Cincinnati. I'm not as high on them as you are. You seem pretty confident in them. I do think SMU can be competitive here. I want to go an under here as well, but these two offenses are so explosive. I mean, we could see 80 points in this one, no problem. Now, these defenses are pretty good as well. So I do have a lean to the under, but this one could shoot out as well. So I don't want to try to hold back the scoring here, Scott. So I'm going to let you just roll with Cincinnati. I'm going to leave that under alone. I'm going to stay away from this one completely and move on to our next one, number 21 Arkansas and number 2 Alabama. So again, a spot here for Alabama to continue to stay in that top 4. Hell, I think they could lose another game and probably still end up just off of name value, but a chance to bounce back here in the SEC. The spread is under 3 touchdowns. At 20.5 is always a tricky number here, Scott. So are you laying that number, or can the Razorbacks stay close here in this game with Alabama?
Yeah, Chris, I got to lean here to Arkansas first. I just think that Arkansas, I think that's a little bit too much for Alabama to be given Arkansas. Arkansas has been really good so far this year, but I will lay warning though, their Razorbacks have not been too good at covering the spread. They're 0-3-1 in their last 4 games overall, but I just think this is a spot here that just seems to be a little bit too much. It's kind of similar to this Michigan State game and a Buckeye game we talked about. I think these are just two good teams. I just think that's a little bit too much. If it was maybe a touchdown or two, a little less, I would feel a little bit better. But when you just think about what the spread should be beforehand, I was a little bit off on this one by a few points. So I'm just going to take Arkansas just because of what I thought the spread should be, and was a little too high. So I'm going to go with my gut here, and I'm going to ride Arkansas.
Yeah, Alabama, one of those teams that talk about Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, they have some blowouts. They blew out a Southern Miss team, Mississippi State. They crushed Tennessee. Obviously, that joke of a game last week against New Mexico State, but they've also struggled. They barely beat a terrible LSU team. They lose to Texas A&M. The tough game with Florida, they barely squeaked that out. So I want to go with Arkansas here as well, especially if you can find a 21. There are some 21s out there. We always talk about shopping around. I'd much rather have the 3 touchdowns than the 20.5. So if you can find a 21 out there, Scott, I think I'm with you here on Arkansas. I think they stay competitive. You mentioned some of their slips against the spread. Overall in the season, 7-3 against the numbers. So been a pretty good covering team, and I think they do it here once again this week against Alabama. All right, you got UAB at number 22, maybe the surprise of college football here, Texas San Antonio in the top 25. Any thoughts on this one? We got -5 for Texas San Antonio, total at 53.
Yeah, not too much, not too many thoughts on this one. I mean, I've been looking around the industry and just kind of I like to look about what other people are saying in the sports betting world. And actually, Chris, I've seen a few people picking UAB here over them, so I'm going to leave that one alone. That's just the one that looks tricky. You think, you got a team here that is not even ranked against a number 22 team at home, only 4.5 points. They are both been pretty good against the spread. UAB 6-3-1, and UTSA is 8-2. But yeah, I if I had to lean, or you were asking me if I wanted to, which way I'd go, I think I would roll with UAB here in this spot and go against the public, which 68% of the money is coming on UTSA. But yeah, this one here just looks fishy, so I think I'd roll with against the public and take the points here.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from this one as well. I mean, I follow a lot of college football. I don't dig down as deep as Texas San Antonio. It's been a great story, no doubt. But you got to know your lane here. And as much as I want to be the Texas San Antonio expert for you guys, I just don't know enough about them. So, again, it's been a great story. But I'm going to stay to the teams that I know better. I'm going to stay away from this one here. So let's move on to some teams we definitely know better. Scott, Virginia at number 18, Pittsburgh in our next matchup. Pittsburgh -13.5. A big total here at 66.5. So thoughts on this one here?
Yeah, these two teams here, I mean, this is going to come down. If Pitts wins, they are going to win their division. And I will say, you kind of look at how well they've been playing. You look at Virginia, they've been just getting smoked. I mean, they've allowed 134 points their last 3 games. And Pitt's quarterback has just been throwing the ball really well, Kenny Pickett. He's got 32 touchdowns and 3,600 yards so far, and he's got one of the best receivers in the country as well. So Jordan Addison, that being, he's got 60 catches, almost 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns. Chris, I think this one here is trouble for Virginia, and I do really like Pittsburgh here today.
Yeah, I like Pittsburgh a lot in this spot. I think they roll here. They've been very impressive this season. 8-2 on the year, 8-2 against the number as well. So a lot of overs in Pittsburgh games. They can score. I don't know that Virginia's going to be able to keep up here. So if you can find this one under 14, looks like it's kind of traveled to that 14, even 14.5 at a lot of books. So the number's on the move as we speak. I still like Pittsburgh here to win by 20 or more. I think they roll here in the spot against Virginia. Next one, we got number 14, BYU and Georgia Southern here. Another awkward matchup here, but BYU -20, 57.5 on the number.
Yeah, this game, the line movement really hasn't all moved that much when you look at it. But just looking at BYU, the unders have been hitting the last few games as them being road favorites. But like you said, Chris, there's just some spots here you really don't know too much about, and this one's here for one for me. I don't really know too much about this BYU team, and Georgia Southern is a team here that I don't even know if I know their logo. I think what is it, the Eagles or something
The
like that? I was just trying to
Eagles,
figure out what
yes.
their
Yep.
yeah, the Eagles. So I'm pretty good about knowing all these names for the different colleges, and I think that one would have been one you would have stumped me on.
Yeah, this one I lean a little bit to the under. I could see BYU traveling down there, thinking they're gonna sleepwalk through this game, and it'd be a cakewalk, I should say. They're not obviously going in saying we're gonna sleepwalk through, but you know what I'm saying. That a team that you overlook, maybe catches you a little bit, punches you in the mouth, and we get somewhat of an ugly game here. So a little bit of lean to the under, but this is another one I'm going to stay away from here this week. All right, we got Syracuse and North Carolina State up next. Scott, North Carolina State, number 20 in the country, 11.5 on the number here, and 50.5 on the total.
Yeah, this one here is another one. You look at NC State. I think they've just been playing pretty well here recently. I really like them here in this spot. Syracuse has not been playing all that well, but I think for me, I'm just going to roll with NC State here at home.
Yeah, this one, I think NC State's probably the way to go here. But again, Syracuse is one of those teams that can come out of nowhere and be competitive. So this 11.5, a little bit too high for me. If anything, I lean towards an underplay here as well. But this is another one I am simply passing on this week. All right, let's get to Baylor. We spoke about them earlier. Very impressive in that win against Oklahoma, up to number 11 in the country against Kansas State. Kansas State -1 here, 50.5 on the total. So, Scott, it's one of those spreads that something looks fishy. Are you buying in on? Which side are you buying in on?
Man, this is a massive trap game here for them. So I'm a little concerned about Baylor here in this spot. I don't know though if I can take. I don't know if I can go with Kansas State. To be honest with you, there's just a team in the past I've kind of been bitten in the ass by in the past, but 63% of the money is coming in on Baylor. I think it's a lot. It's a spot here. Everybody's looking and thinking, why is Baylor number 11 in the country getting a point there on the road? But Kansas State's been playing pretty well. They're 7-3. Chris, if I had to bet, I think I would roll with Kansas State here and go against the public in this
Yeah, I'm
trap
going
game.
Kansas State as well. Yeah, I like Kansas State in this spot as well. And Baylor coming off that big win, I think it's going to be a letdown spot here. And you mentioned Kansas State playing some good football. So when the spread looks like this, a lot of people would look at it in the public, say, I'm back in Baylor here. They just beat Oklahoma. How can they not beat Kansas State? Give me Kansas State in this one this week against Baylor. Next game, we got Vanderbilt and number 12, Mississippi. Big line here, Scott, 36.5, 64.5 on the total.
Well, the good thing here is, Chris, Lane Kiffin, if he gets 5 SEC victories, he gets an extra 150K bonus. And good thing for him, he runs into this Vanderbilt team who's just been the bottom feeders of that SEC for quite some time here. Ole Miss is 8-2, so I really think Lane Kiffin and these boys get it done. But Chris, I think that's a little bit too much there, that 36.5. So I think I would take the 36.5, but I do think Ole Miss is going to win the game. But I think that's a little bit too much for them to be giving away.
I like Ole Miss here. I'm going to lay the point. Vanderbilt is that bad, and Ole Miss has been pretty good against the number, covering an 8 out of 10 so far this season. So I generally don't like those big spreads, but Vanderbilt is pretty terrible. I'm going to go with Mississippi here, laying the point. You're getting it under 40. I mean, this one could get ugly really, really quickly, so I'm going to back Mississippi here. All right, next matchup, our last top 25 matchup between two teams. We got number 3, Oregon, and number 23, Utah here, Scott. So Oregon -3, 59 on the total. Oregon, obviously, a lot to play for here. Very much in the mix here for the college football playoffs. Is this the spot where Utah gets the upset, or does Oregon march on?
I like Oregon in this spot here. I think, you're just looking at the Ducks. We obviously saw them play pretty well on the road starting the season, going down to Ohio State and beating them. And I mean, this here could be a preview of the Pac-12 championship game. So I think the Ducks have won the last 3 out of 4 meetings. So I'm going to roll with the Ducks here. They've been averaging almost 38 points a game. So I think they get it done here against Utah.
Yeah, I love the over in this spot. These two teams can score. They both average 35 a game. So I think we get an old-fashioned shootout here, back and forth. I think we get a lot of points in this game. I could see Utah pulling the upset. But again, do you want to roll with Utah here against the top 3 team? I'd rather just go the total and root for points in this game. So give me the over in this one. Last one we got for you this week, number 9, Oklahoma State taking on Texas Tech. Oklahoma State minus 10.5, 56.5 on the total. Last game here, Scott. What do we got here to finish this up for this college football Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, you're just looking here. I think this is going to be a tough spot for Oklahoma State. For one, they got to get by Texas Tech here, which they just came off that big victory over Iowa State. Was it 41-38, I believe? I mean, they've only allowed 23 points a game here. So, I mean, they also have one of the top rushers in Jaylen Warren. So I think, just looking here at this game, I think this game is going to be lower scoring, but I'll take the points here in the 10.5. I think it's going to be a closer game than everybody else expects, but I also like the under in a slower type game.
So I'm with you here. I like Oklahoma State as well.
You're a donkey. I got to tease you now. You were muted there. I got to chuckle at you now. I'm the one who does that, not you.
I just want you to feel all right that it happens to everybody. So I gotta do it once in a while.
That, buddy.
I actually like the under in this game as well. Oklahoma State's an offense that can certainly get it going, but we've seen them struggle at times as well. So this number feels a little bit too high. I have a lean here to the under in this one. All right, Scott, we wrapped up our thoughts on the top 25. Now we got to get to the best part of the show, our best bets here for this Saturday college football. As always, the floor is yours, sir. What do you got? Give the people some winners.
Man, I feel like I got some good ones today, Chris. For one, as we already discussed, I'm definitely taking the Spartans and all those points. So if I jinx them, I jinx them. But I'm just saying, I think that's just way too much in that matchup. And as you said, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the money line. I'm going to get to that at the end because I think I got a pretty good parlay here that I already put together here with some dogs that I really like. But my best bets in this game here, I'm going to go with the Penn State under. I'm going to go with that. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I really like Notre Dame minus the 17 today as well. And then I also like Pittsburgh minus the 14.5. But Chris, my big dog money log parlay today is a little bonus now. We got the Sparties now, so I already put it in. It's a $50 bet on FanDuel, and it pays $39.74. So what I got is the Sparties on the money line. I got the Oregon Ducks on the money line, and I got Texas Tech on the money line. And Chris, you know what that means? It just means it's money time, buddy. Money time, money time.
Love it.
Let's go, Green.
Let's love it. You're like Ted DiBiase here, just throwing money around to the crowd. The $1 million man here, Scott, spending all that lunch money. So love it. Love those money line parlays. Those are always fun. So I'm going to give you some of my best bets here for this Saturday. Again, love Michigan State. I'm with you on that one, Scott, with the points. I do love that money line again, plus 760 over on FanDuel last night. So hopefully that number is still in play for you guys. I like the over in the Illinois-Iowa game, as ugly as that one may be. I'm going with Notre Dame against Georgia Tech here to win. And my last one, Kansas State to shock Baylor here. I am going with that fishy spread and Kansas State to cover and win that game against the Baylor Bears. So that will wrap us up here for Saturday. Scott, final thoughts for the people here on our Woodward Bet Show.
I wish all these hundreds were real, Chris, that were shooting out that gun because
they are real. What are you talking about? They are real.
I'd be going down to the Hootie Bar and having me some fun today. Let's get it
Love
done.
it. Love
Feel
it.
great.
Yeah. Let's fill that thing with actual hunters here after we hit that money line parlay and win some money on Sparty on the money line. But thank you guys, as always, for stopping by, checking out the show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Best of luck with your bets. For Scott, for our boys Spencer and Easy behind the glass, I am Beer. We are Woodward Bets. Best of luck in your bets this week, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. NFL, make sure you're with us, 9 a.m. on our YouTube page. Good luck today, everybody. Enjoy the games, and we'll see you in the morning.